Hi, good evening, everyone. So, this is Team Let's Upgrade with Siddharth sir here. We apologize for the delay. There was some issue we were facing, but we have finally solved it, and we are here with Siddharth sir to start the session. So, without any delay, so you can take over.
Okay, really sorry guys for the delay. It was some unavoidable circumstances that we had to face. But let's start where we finished off, I think on Saturday. So we had seen about the some of the utilities and some of the components in the Bootstrap, right? Utilities such as text colors, all the colors in Bootstrap, backgrounds, and then shadows, right? And in components, we had seen many such things called forms, the drop downs, right? People who were present in the first session, I had given you guys some homework, some exercise. I wouldn't call it as a homework. It was some exercise that I had given you guys, which was on the nav bar and a contact form. I hope you guys did practice. Um, so I think we have lost a lot of time today, but let's start with the most important topic that we have in Bootstrap, which is the layout. Okay, and inside layout, if we start, it's the grid, right? And that is one of the most important things in Bootstrap. And if you understand this thing, it almost covers 40 to 50% of the Bootstrap, and it is one of the most important features that Bootstrap provides you. With grids, you can build your websites on desktop, on your laptop, on your mobile phones, and all other devices, also iPads. So it gives you this feature of responsiveness, right? So what we are going to see is the same thing, the grid system that Bootstrap gives us. Okay, so if you guys were present in my first session, we had talked about the basic start and basic structure of the grid system, which follows the container, row, and column. Also, yesterday we had a session, but it was cut down because of some technical error on my side. But if you guys were present, I had mentioned these points, these 2 points, which was the first point was when you start a grid, when you start making a grid, the three things that you are going to use is the container, the row, and the column. Okay, that was the first point. Again, I'll repeat, the when you start making a grid, the first point is there is a structure that is to be followed, which is called as a container, row, and column. See, when I say about these things, some things are mandatory, some things depend on you. Okay, so now when I tell you about container, row, and column, I'll also show you some parts of it. You don't have to understand everything right now that I have written, but eventually after some time it will just be it will you will understand these things. Okay, so now what I have made here is there are just four boxes, okay, and a header and a heading called Bootstrap. Okay, when I tell you that something, when you create a grid system, right, you use containers, rows, and columns, and this is what I'm talking about. So over here I have used a grid system, right? So when you see this grid, you see four boxes equally spaced from themselves, right, and equal boxes, right? The content is the same, so that is why the equal boxes, but it looks good. And why the container, why, what is the row, what is the column, we will be discussing about it. Okay, so now I'll start with the containers. Okay, so the containers are the most basic layout element, okay, the most basic layout element, and these are used for the grid system. Okay, now when you inspect these things, okay, when you inspect the container, I'll just show it to you guys. It is taking some time for me to load this, but if you check this, okay, uh, yeah. So I have the container here, okay, and this is the container that I am talking about. When I cover this whole thing, when I close this whole thing, this is the container that I'm talking about, okay, and this container has something called as a margin, right? You know what the margin looks like in the when you use the Google Developers Console, right? So the margin is in the orangish part, the orangish color, and the padding is the greenish color, right? So when you give the class container, it gives you some padding on left and right, which is 15 pixels, and a margin auto. So why this margin auto? Because the container sets this whole wrapper, whole grid system in the center of your system. Okay. So when you see this, this is what I have used, right? The container class. It has given some margin right and margin left, right? You can see my console here. If you want, you can try it on your own also on your system. So when you give the class container, you will see some padding and some margins, right? Just the margin is auto because it wants to center these elements, okay, in the web page, on the web page. Okay, so you might have seen a lot of websites, right? A lot of websites don't start their content from the extreme left. Now what I mean by that is, when you see the container here, the margin left, right, the margin left and the margin right, there are some spacings, right? When you give margin or when you give padding, it is meant for spacing, right? So when you see a particular website, they don't start from the extreme left. Okay, if you guys, if some websites are not using css, then that would be an some websites are not using bootstrap, then that would be an exception. But I am talking about some websites that use bootstrap. Okay, so in that case, when you want to, when you want your content to start from at some level, right, at some place that is from a spacing of some margin, right, from the left and from the right, right? You won't see a website which is starting from extreme left and goes to extreme right. It wouldn't look nice, right? If you want to check, you can check that as well. So I'm just going to remove some content from the container. For example, I'm just going to remove this div row, no, this div column. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'll remove it from the container. Okay, so outside the container, I'm putting this. Okay, and I'm also going to remove some grid classes that I have put in here. So if I do this, let's see. Okay, it has given some shadow and stuff like that. Let's do this. I put in a section here, and I'll put this. I'm going to remove P4. Okay, I'm going to remove text center also because that is why it is entering it, right? You see this? I don't think it is very visible, but you get the idea, right? Over here, see, the content is starting from extreme left, right? And when you don't use a container, right, when you don't use a container, or when you are not choosing a grid system, it is something like this. And then you have to go in your style.css and you have to give some padding on the left and padding on the right to the body and stuff like that. But with bootstrap, I don't have to give anything. See, my style.css is empty. Okay, so I'm not using any style.css which is predefined over here, which is doing some kind of work for me. Okay, when I do this, it looks nice. Okay, it looks nice. It gives out some spacing from itself using the bootstrap classes, right? So that is why we choose, or we prefer to use the containers, the grid system that bootstrap offers. Okay, when you check out the designs also, that when you give when a designer gives you a phd, right, or a design to, for you to make it, considering that you are a developer, then you guys will see there are some spaces in the left and in the right, right? And you will also see that everything has, if everything starts from one line, right? There is no margin for error over here that something starts from here, right? This is some content that is starting from the left and then some content which is starting from here, not this way, right? It doesn't look good, right? Obviously, if you want these these boxes, like these grids, to follow uh, a particular, you know, some clean clean visual effects, right? Something that the customer would like, right? So you will obviously see to all these things, all these small things, that okay, the spacing is not right, and this comes from practice. So when you are a developer and you are into ui, right, these things are very important for you guys. the attention to detail is something that every developer or every senior developer wants from its junior developer, right? Or every manager wants from its developers, right? So, and every customer wants that from your manager, right? The client wants it from the manager, that everything should be very nice, very precise, a production level code, right? When you say a production level code, that means there is no margin for error, there is no bug, there are no issues, there are no spacing issues, right? So that is where, these bootstrap, container, row, column, the grid system, not necessary you use bootstrap, this can be also done with the css thing, right? Of course, because bootstrap is built on css, right? We are here talking about bootstrap because it offers you some classes which makes it easier. If you want to go into advanced css, right, so you can check the properties and property values that are given to containers, right, over here, and then you have to put in your style.css, right? You have to create your own class dot container, and you have to put this, and you can use that container, right? But to save all that effort here, bootstrap comes into picture. So that is what it is. Talked about container, the next part is the row. Okay, but before we jump, okay, let's talk about row. Afterwards we'll talk about some breakpoints that we'll be using. Okay, so row is another thing that you put in inside the container. Okay, now the row is something which is when you create a grid, right? When you create a grid, the row is the horizontal part of it. And when you check here, right, when hover over a row, right, this is the container and this is the row. See, you see this. So the row has something called as a display flex property, right? Display flex property. Now, if you know about the flex box, right, the display flex is just arranging all these content in one horizontal space, right? If you give some child properties like justify content between or justify content around, so you know, right, the all the contents have equal space around them. So if you give between, it will start from extreme left and extreme right, and if you give around, it will give some spacing around the content, right? So these are some advanced css that I'm talking about here, but the idea is the same, right? Because bootstrap is built on css, this row is specifically a display flex property. So the container is the default grid. Okay, when you write a container, it gives out some margin, it arranges the content in the center, right? And the row uses display flex property. Why it uses display flex? In order so that the other content that you will be filling in, right, that would align in one line, right? So now if I don't give this row, right, if I don't give this row, let's see what happens here. See, this is what happened, right? Because I wanted everything in one line, right? So in case when you want something to be in one line, right, you give a row. You see this? If I remove it, it happens this way. If I put it, it happens this way, right? So when I removed a row, the display flex property does not uh, is not being used, right? So the columns inside it are not in one line. So that is why we give a row inside a container, because we are talking about grid. That is why I'm focusing more on these parts. Okay, I mean, it is all your choice how you want to create your website. If in case you don't have a phd, right, if you don't have a designer who is giving you a design, so that basically depends on how you have created the design, right? When you create the design, then you do the development part of it. But here I'm just giving you a gist of this, that when you have a designer who's giving you a design, and if he has followed something which is similar in this fashion, not necessarily the content, you might have some images, you might have some cards, right, some image, some content inside it, right? So that is where you should know the properties and you should know what the bootstrap grid system offers you. Okay, now simple thing, we have given a row. Okay, this row is inside a container. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to remove the first row. Okay, so here in when you see my code in inspect element, right, you see two rows over here. I'm just going to remove it. so that you guys don't get confused a lot about this. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this. Okay, so now you see over here, if you see my code over here, I'm just going to zoom in it a little bit. Yes, I think this should be clear enough. So inside the container, you have row, and inside the row, you have call. Okay, now basically you saw why we use a container, you saw why we use a row, right? But now I'm going to tell you why we use a column. Now it I mean, it is very fairly simple to see, okay, why we have been using a column, because now every row should be divided, right? Every row should be divided, and when you use a call, right, when you use a call, which is a column, it divides itself. Now how many parts does it divide itself? It is in 12 parts. Okay, you see this, it is simple mathematics. Okay, it is simple mathematics. Now this is a row that we have, we want to divide it. We have how many contents here? In this case, we have some duplicate contents. Obviously, I don't have all the different contents now for you guys, but since we want something to be divided in a grid system, right? So this row, right, this row is divided into 4 equal parts. So can you see those purple lines on my web page? If you guys want to try, even you can try it, right? So you see those purple lines over it. So it is just telling you here that this column is divided in 4 parts. But why in 4 parts in this case? That is not the question here. Okay, the 4 parts is not the important point. The point is when you give a column, right, a row is divided into 12 parts. Okay, now since we have 4 columns, right, since we have 4 columns here, so it takes 3 parts equally. Okay, now if you guys did not understand, I'll show you guys something. Okay, I'm just going to remove all these things. Okay, I'm just going to remove all the content here. Let's see, this is the div, starting div, this is the call, right, call lg, and this is the row. Now, what is LG also? We will be going on to that. So don't scratch your heads now. I will be discussing everything. But now when you see this, okay, when you see this is one column that I have used here, right? See, if you check my inspect also, I'll just uh, make it a little bigger, right? You see one row over here. Okay, there is one row which is from the container here, right? Row, container, and then row, and then we have only one column. So whenever it sees, okay, I have one column here, the row automatically is divided in 12 parts. Okay, automatically the row is divided in 12 parts. Whenever you give a row, okay, the row is divided in 12 parts. Okay, please make a note of this. The row is divided into 12 parts. Now when I give only one column, right, the column is inside this row, right, and the row is divided in 12 parts. Now since there is only one column here, okay, so the row tells the column that, okay, you are the only one in my nested brackets, right, in you are the only child over here, right, so you can take all the space, right? So basically it's just a example that your parent is telling you that, okay, you are my only child here, so I have 12
Sir,
chocolates here. Yes.
could you please zoom in your screen a bit? It's
Okay,
not
there is no
visible,
content
something.
here. Can you see this? Is this fine? Hello,
Yes, sir.
is this fine?
Yeah, could you please zoom it a bit more?
The content is not necessary actually.
So actually the VS code which is open down, or the,
This thing or this thing?
yeah, no, both the screens actually.
Okay, is this fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, it's like your parent tells you that I have 12 chocolates, but you are my only child. So I will be giving you all the 12 chocolates. So basically, it's similar to that. Okay. I have a row, right? The row tells the column, ki, okay, there is only one column here. So the whole space by the row is occupied by this one column. Now, what happens here? If I do this, okay, this is one call LG here, okay. So I am going to make another call LG, right? I'm going to make another call LG, right? Now you know that the row gives 12 paths, right? 12 equal paths, it has divided itself. You have two columns, right? So how would it look according to you? If you guessed it in 6 6, then you are absolutely right, because now you have two columns. So example, your parent has two children now, okay, and it has 12 chocolates, right? It is just dividing itself, just dividing the chocolates into 6, right? It is dividing the chocolates into two parts, right? And the 6 6 into 6 6 chocolates, right? And it is giving the both the children 6 chocolates each, right? So it is similar to that. The call has been divided by the row, okay, has been divided by the row into two parts now, which is one column is into 6 parts, okay. So now when you check this, this column is 6 and this column is 6 parts of the total row, okay. It is very simple. Now basically, if you want 4, right, if you want 4, so you will be doing this, right? You will be doing this, one more, and then one more, right? So now when you see this, when you see the 4 columns here, basically it just means 12 divided by 4, right? 12 divided by 4, because we have 4 columns inside one row. So one column will have 3 parts because 12 divided by 4, right? So one column will be divided into 3 parts. I'm just going to zoom out it a little bit, right? So this is how it looks here. So your one column is divided into 3 parts of the row, right? You understanding? I hope you guys are understanding. I will be, I mean, if you guys have any doubts, we will be discussing it. Don't worry. But I just want you guys to get a little gist of it, that a row has divided itself into 12 parts. Okay. And inside a row, when you declare or when you write a column, right, when you initiate a column, the column takes some parts of it, right, of the row. If you have four, if you have 4 columns, then 12 divide by 4, right? If you have 6 columns, right, then 12 divide by 6, which would be 2. If you want to check, let's do that also. So we have 4 columns here. Let's do that. I'm just going to do this. 1 and 2. Okay, I've added 2 more here. So now it's in 2. So now we have 6 columns here. You can count it, call LG 6 times, and every column is taking 2 parts of the row, right? Because it has to divide itself equally. Why it has to divide itself equally? Because when you see, row has a flex property, and when you check the flex here, see this display flex wrap, okay. This is what it is, right? So it divides itself into 12 equal parts, and every column inside it takes some space of it. However you want to do it, you can do it. There are many other cases that we will be looking on to. Please don't think, what if I don't, what if I want to remove the third column over here? So we just put 2 columns over here of 2 2, then there is a space here, and then we have 3 columns. We can all do that, but just, I mean, just go take baby steps here, okay, with me. I am trying to start the whole grid system so that it is easier for you. We will be discussing about everything, okay. I know we have wasted a lot of time before, but don't worry guys, I will clear all your doubts and we will clear everything, every concept of the grid, okay. So I hope this thing is understood, okay. Now what I'm going to I'll show you guys is, instead of call LG, okay, instead of call LG, let's see what we can do now, okay. Let's see you might have seen that I had given call LG12, right? In my previous sessions, if you had seen the container row, and I had given call LG12. Now, what is call LG12? Okay, call LG12 is basically call LG, okay, and 12 is the 12 parts of the row, okay. So when the row says, okay, that I have 12 parts, right? And if I have not given any numbers, okay, if I have not given any numbers to columns, okay, so the basic thing here is the all row tells all the columns to divide itself in equal parts, okay. But if I give a particular number, okay, call LG12, for example, so that call LG12, okay, that column tells the row that I am taking 12 parts of your row, okay, I am taking 12 parts of your row. Every column after me will shift to the next line. Why will it shift to the next line? Because I have taken all the 12 parts of your row, okay. For example, let's see, if I give your call LG12, let's see what happens. You see this? So the first one, okay, so the first one here, first column here, right? The first column has taken all the 12 parts of it, right? So now there is no space for all the other columns here, right? So every column is now shifted down, right? Now you remember we have 6 columns here, right? So everyone is supposed to take how many parts? 12 divided by 6, right? Please understand this. This is very important, and this is like the best thing of Bootstrap, okay? The grid system, okay? We What we have done here is I have given the first column as call LG12. 12 is, it is telling the row that I am taking the 12 parts of your row. Every other column later will shift to the next line, okay. You guys know that it is only the maximum parts is only 12, okay. There are no 13 parts here, okay. So the first row is taking everything, so there is no space for the other grids here, right? So it will go down. Now if I tell you, that I will give the first column, instead of call LG12, I will give it as call LG10, then what happens? Please visualize it, okay. When I tell you that I am giving the first column, right, the first column which looks like a banner right now, right, if I give it as call LG10, then what happens, right? So in that case, the first column would take 10 parts of the row, right? It would take 10 parts of the row. But as you know, the row has 12 parts, right? So there are 2 parts remaining here. And we have 6 columns here, right? So anyway, if we have 6 columns, so that is 12 divided by 6, which is 2. So if someone is taking 10 and if we have a place for 2, then what happens, right? Let's see what happens here. I'll give some code here. Uh, Please don't tell me my phone system is hanging here. Hi guys, just give me 2 minutes. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am audible, right? It is just taking some time here. Okay, till that, I'll just explain it to you guys. Please bear with me. So, what I meant by that is if you have call LG10, right? If you have call LG10, it would take 10 parts of it. Okay. And when you give call LG2 to the second one, it would fit right in here. Okay. Now, all the 12 parts have again just, fit, they are fitting right in the row, right? So call LG10 and then there is call LG2, right? And then what happens is basically you have how many are done, right? We have done 2 columns, which is 10 and 2. So now we have the other 4 columns, right? So now what they will do is they will divide itself into three parts, right? Why three parts? Because four columns are remaining and 12 parts of the row are is being divided. So 12 divided by 4, right? So which were basically before in two parts, right? Which were basically in two parts in the first place. When I changed some grids, right? When I changed some grids, right? The first grid I had given call LG10, the second grid I have given call LG2, right? So they have occupied the first place here, and then the remaining four columns take three places, right? They take three places in the second line. So that is how it adjusts itself. Sorry, guys, my Visual Studio Code is not responding here, but please, I request you guys to try that same thing. What you have to do is, if you guys did not copy any code here, just write just give a container class, okay, and inside a container class give a row, okay, and inside a row make six calls, okay. Give the class name as dot call lg, okay. For you guys, if I'll repeat it, what you have to do is dot container, and inside that container give a row, and inside that row give six call lg, okay. Give six call lg. Inside that call LG, give some content, put in a pay tag and type in lorem ipsum, right? Just put in lorem and tab. If you guys are using VS Code, the emit abbreviations will give you a paragraph, okay? So you can put that in that case, okay? So what we are doing here is, I don't know why my system is not responding, but basically the thing that I am discussing here is the calls are divided itself into 12 equal parts. The first column is called LG10, right? The second column, when you give call LG2, right? So that occupies some space, right? Because when you give six columns, the 12 is divided by six and you get two, right? So every column in that case should take two parts, right? But what we have done here is we have given 10, right? We have given 10 to the first column, right? So it would take 10 parts, and the call 12 has two parts remaining. And since we have six columns, right? So one column can fit in there, right? So that fits in, and the remaining four columns are taking three parts of the row, right? Three parts of the row, right? So four columns, one column taking three parts, right? And that is how it would look. Please, guys, do try it over here. I'm just trying to figure out what has happened with my system again. I hope you guys are understanding that part. Okay. Now, again, the second thing is, I had given the first column as call LG12, right? Call LG10. Instead of that, try giving call LG8, right? Call LG8. Now you understand you will have four paths remaining, right? Four paths. So in that four paths, what will happen? Two columns would fit in, right? Two columns would fit in, right? I hope this has started right, just in time. So I'll just do it. Is my screen visible? I hope it is visible. Can someone please confirm if my screen is visible? Hello? Okay, nobody is responding. I don't know. So what we have done here is we have given call LG12, right? So instead of call LG12, I'm going to give call LG10 here, and I am going to give your call LG2, right? So what it does is, see this. You see this? It has taken 10 parts here, right? And you have two parts remaining over here. So it fits in, right? And all the other columns, right? All the remaining four columns are divided equally. So when you see this, you will understand how it is divided in equally, because 12 divided by 4 is 3, right? So it takes three parts in it, right? It takes three parts in it. Let's see if we can give call LG10, instead of call LG10, let's give call LG8. Okay, I'm just going to remove this thing. Okay, because just in case if you feel ki, okay, do we have to give call LG2? Okay, so let's see this. You see this? It has taken 8 paths. Okay, so the row knows. Okay, the row knows that we have 12 paths. Okay, we have 6 columns, right? And one of them is divided into 8 over here. So we have four parts of the row which is remaining, and we have 6 columns. So 2 columns are fitting in over here, right? So when you see here, this is 8, this is 2, this is 2. Now when you see it down, we have 3 columns only remaining, but 12 divided by 3 is 4, right? So the each column here in the second section over here, each column is divided into 4 parts. Why? Because we have 3 columns remaining, right? So that is what I want you guys to understand. It is a really simple thing. If you guys understood, the only thing that you have to keep in mind is that the column is divided into 12 parts. Okay, the column is divided into 12 parts. Now some of you might think, okay, the column is divided into 12 parts, but what if I give call 11? Okay, so instead of call LG8 or call LG10 that I was giving, so in that case we were giving some portion, right? Some portion of the call of the row to be fit in by the columns that were remaining, right? We were trying to give that. But I want you guys to try, when you give the first column as call LG11, what happens, right? So when you try that, you will see that the call LG11 takes the 11 parts of the row. But since there is only one part of the row is remaining, right? And we have 6 call LGs, right? So no, I mean, it can't fit inside, right? Because the minimum, not the maximum, the minimum parts that a column would require is 2, right? Because we have 6 columns, right? So the minimum would be 2, right? But we have only one in our case because we have given call LG11 here, right, to the first column. So the call will take 11 parts. It would still leave one part, but none of the columns would, you know, compress itself to one part. What it will do is it will say that, okay, see, I have my self respect. So I won't fit in. I won't try to lessen it my value. Okay. So I have 2 parts which is saved for me in the row. So I will take 2 only. You can keep the 11 parts and keep the one part remaining with you. Okay, but I will take the second line over here, the second session, right? So if you see, that is what is going to happen. Again, my VS code has stopped uh move working here. If I can try to inspect and show it to you guys, my system is not helping me today, guys, but I hope I am able to make you understand the certain differences. Please, I hope if you guys are not understanding something, please let me know. Okay, but what I am doing here is, see, instead of call LG8, what you have to do is you have to give in call LG11. Okay, so there, in that case, only one part is left, and no column will compress itself or compromise its 2 parts which that column deserves, so that it would shift on the next line. Okay, now the other question is, you will have ki, okay, uh, we have 6 columns. Okay, we have 6 columns. The first column has taken 11 parts. Okay, and the second, and all the 5 other columns, okay, all the 5 other columns would shift down. But 12 divided by 5 does not give you a finite number, right? So what will happen in that case? You don't have to care about how many parts it would take in that case. Okay, the grid system does that for you. So what it will do is it would divide 12 divide by 5. Okay, and how much ever it is, so 5 12 divided by 5, 2 and 2.5, right? I think 2.5, 12 divided by 2.4 actually, right? 2.4. So the grid will take 2.4 exactly parts of the 12 parts, right? if you see, and if I can show you guys, so let's see. Okay, fortunately it is working for me right here. So you see over here, you see this thing, you see the call LG11 here, and there is some part which is remaining here. See the row is this much. You see that purple part, that is the one part which is remaining there, right? That is the one part, and the 11 parts is occupied by one column, right? But the other columns have two parts of the row of, I mean, stored to themselves, right? They won't compromise. Okay, so they shift to the next line, and what it tells them, the row tells them ki, okay, however you want to fit in, you can fit in, right? So instead of, just thinking ki, okay, it would only take the divisors, or uh, the divisors as something which is divided by 12, right? You don't have to think in that way. Okay, so that only it takes 12 or 6 or 4 or 3. No, that is not the case, right? So we have just seen it is not the case, because see, the first call is taking 11 parts, and the rest of the 5 things are coming down, right? They have come down, and they are divided themselves equally, right, into 2.4 parts of the 12 parts, right? I hope you guys are understanding this. If you want, I will give you some more examples. So instead of call LG11, right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give a call LG7. Okay, now think, 7. Okay, we have 7, we have occupied 7, so how much is remaining? 5. In 5, how many grids can fit? In five parts, how many grid can fit in our case? Because we have 6 columns. Okay, please think of that thing. We have 6 columns here. In 5, how many grid will fit in? 2, because 4 parts. Okay, because 4 parts can be taken, right? So 2 grids will come up. Okay, 2 grids will come up, right? And there will be a space for 1 grid over there. Let's see how it shows. Okay, I have given call LG7. You see this? Okay, you see this? So what we have done here is we have row over here, and we have call LG7, right? And other two have shifted down here, right? Other two have shifted down here, right? So that is what basically I was talking about. This is how it will work. Okay, I will remove this call LG8 and call LG12. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding what we are trying to do here. Okay, let's see if this got saved. Okay, my VS Code is actually hanging, but I'm just going to do it in the inspect, if I can do that for you guys. Okay, so here I have given call LG8 and the other, okay, call LG8. So we have some space here remaining, so it takes in equal amount. Okay, now if I give your call LG2, it doesn't matter because it would take the 2 parts that it knows. Okay, but what if I give here the call LG, instead of 2 I will give your 3? Then what happens? See this. So now what has happened here? 8 parts one column has taken, 3 parts another column has taken, but 8 plus 3 equals to 11, right? And there is still one part remaining here. So the other 4 have divided itself over here. You see, you see the row, when I hover over it, there is a one part which is remaining, but no content takes the one part of it, right? So here in that case, sorry, I think it just got refreshed because of this. Okay, but you got the idea, right? I'm just going to use this only now. Call LG8, right? And what was the other one? Call LG3, right? Call LG3, right? So there is one part which is remaining, right? But basically no column can fit in itself, so the other 4 have divided itself below, right, into how many parts would it say? It would be 3 parts, because 4 is your, right, 12 divided by 4, 3 parts, so 3 equal parts. Okay, but you get the idea. You don't have to see how many, I mean, can it fit, can it not fit, how would it look? Because if it looks nice, it looks nice. Okay, but the idea is, and the only important point is, you have 12 parts which is being divided by the row. Okay, moving on to the next part. Okay, instead of LG. Okay, now the point here is, what is LG? Okay, now what is LG? The LG is for the large device. Now here I'm using both. I'm using a desktop to show you guys. So that is why I am using LG. But what if I give instead of LG, I give MD? So let's see if I give MD here. Okay, will it make a difference? Will it make a difference? It doesn't make a difference. Okay, now why it doesn't make a difference, which is what we are going to talk about. Okay, first you have to understand. Okay, instead instead of MD, there are other values also. MD is medium. Okay, so we are first talking about the breakpoints here. Okay, one, the first way you can write is only call, COL. Okay, you can write only call. Okay, COL. The second way you can write is call SM, which is small. Okay, now when you write only call, it is used for less than 576 pixels. Okay, less than 576 pixels. And when do you use less than 576 pixels? For mobile phones, right? For mobile phones you use less than 576 pixels most of the time. Most of the devices use less than 576 pixels. Okay, so when you use call, okay, we can use it over here. So what I'm going to do is, instead of call MD8, I'm just going to give call 8. Okay, what did I tell you? It will happen for mobile. Okay, what did I tell you? It will, when you use call hyphen 8, it is just seen as the Bootstrap tells the the web page that, okay, call 8 means it will happen from the mobile phone. Okay, please understand, from the mobile phone. Okay, you see this, nothing will happen, it won't change, nothing will change. Why? Because how does a breakpoint work in Bootstrap? Okay, I know this is a lot to grasp, but please guys pay attention. It is, once you understand this, it is really really simple. Okay, what is happening here, when you give call 8, so when you just give call, okay, please don't take the 8 number very seriously here. We are only talking about call over here. Okay, call 8 is just in case of our layout here. Okay, don't consider the number very seriously. You can give call 7 6 whatever, however you want it to look. Okay, but I am trying to make you guys understand the breakpoint. Okay, how the breakpoints work in Bootstrap. I am giving you this example for columns. You will be doing it for every other thing, and I will tell you what every other thing that I'm talking about here. Okay, we are discussing about columns here. What I mean by call is, okay, only call, not call SM, not call MD, not call LG, not call XL. Okay, XL is extra large, LG is large, MD is medium, SM is small. Okay, and only call is less than small. Okay, less than small means less than 576 pixels. Okay, less than 576 pixels. When you give SM, it is greater than 576 pixels, okay, or equal, greater than or equal, okay, greater than or equals to 576 pixels, and less than 720 pixels, okay, or less than 768 pixels. Okay, medium starts from 768 pixels to less than 992 pixels. Okay, and for large it starts from 992 pixels to less than 1200 pixels. Okay, if you guys, I mean, if you guys these are finding these things difficult for you to grasp, I really hope that it is not because the breakpoints are, these breakpoints are coming from CSS only. So if any one of you is here without knowing any knowledge of CSS and trying to get into Bootstrap, I just recommend you guys to look about the breakpoints in CSS. Okay, the breakpoints in CSS. So these breakpoints are not made by Bootstrap. This is just the CSS breakpoints that I'm talking about. Okay, less than 576 pixels is extra small. Okay, greater than or equals to 576 pixels and less than 768 pixels is small, okay, SM. MD is medium, which is greater than 768, greater than or equals to 768 pixels and less than 992 pixels. Okay, greater than or equals to 992 pixels and less than 1200 pixels is LG, which is large. Okay, and greater than 1200 pixels is extra large. Okay, so these are the breakpoints that I'm talking about. Okay, when I give call 8, it is saying that it will be coming from extra small. Okay, so 576 pixels, so less than, okay, the minimum width, okay, the minimum width here would be 576 pixels. Okay, the minimum width, okay, minimum width would be 576 pixels. Okay, and from 576 pixels onwards, okay, from 576 pixels onwards, sorry, I'm really sorry, less than 576 pixels. Okay, when I give call 8, not call SM8. Okay, when I give call 8, it is taking from 0 pixels. Okay, 0 pixels onwards to the last pixel that is defined. Okay, so when I give call 8, okay, when I give call 8, it is for the mobile because it is already less than 576 pixels. Okay, it will also be applied for an iPad, it will also be applied for a laptop, and it will also be applied for a desktop. Okay, you getting my point? So it is from the lowest, right, lowest 0 to the highest defined pixel. Okay, if you have uh right, a 32 inches desktop also, right, call 8 would only take 8 parts of your web page ka size. Okay, and if you are using also a small device, which is for example a mobile phone, an iPhone, or anything, any phone, right, it will also in that case take only 8 parts. Okay, now I if you guys did not understand, just give me like 2 minutes for this, because don't worry, you will understand it when I teach you a little more about other breakpoints also. Okay, so when I told you about only call, when you give only call, it is from the 0th pixel. Okay, it is from the lowest, like from for the mobile phones and to all. Okay, but when I give call SM8, okay, please guys, be I mean, just pay a lot of attention over here. Okay, when I give call SM8, okay, in this case it is telling me the minimum width is 576 pixels. Okay, the minimum width is 576 pixels. So what device is not in this? The phone, right? Because the phones, usually the phones are less than 576 pixels. Here I am telling you I have given SM, right, and you know the breakpoint, right? From for SM it is greater than or equals to 576 pixels and less than 768 pixels. Okay, from 768 the MD starts, from 992 the LG starts, and from 1200 the XL starts. Please, I hope you guys are understanding, I hope you guys know a little CSS breakpoints over here. That is why if you guys are understanding, then I hope it's going smoothly. So call SM8. Okay, SM is starts from 576, right? So when I tell you MD, it starts from 768, right? So SM starts from 576. So what device is excluded over here? The phone, right? So from 576 to anything that a pixel is defined. Here I will be talking about one, I will be taking one value, which is 1200. Okay, just consider the 1200 as a minimum width for the extra large devices. Okay, please. So from 576 to 1200 pixels, it would take call SM8, because in CSS when you give minimum width as 576 pixels, right, minimum width as 576 pixels, which means कि सबसे कम से कम 576 तक तो होना चाहिए, 576 से ऊपर ये प्रॉपर्टी ले लो, right? So this is exactly what is we are writing here. Call SM8 is minimum 576 से 1200 तक there will be 8 parts. Okay, there will be 8 parts of the column in the row. Okay, the column will take 8 parts of the row from 576 pixels to 1200 pixels. But now the question is कि okay, अगर हम लोग ने phone को exclude कर दिया तो how would it look in the phone? So in that case, the column in phone would take 12 parts. Okay, because if you are not giving anything, any value here, so for phone it will take 12 parts. Let's see if that really is true. See, what I'm doing here is I'm going to give it as a phone. So now you see over here, see the row. The row is the whole thing, right? And for the row, the column is taking all the 12 parts, right? I told you guys the row divides itself in 12 parts, okay? And that is a consistent thing across all the devices, okay? Now when we saw for the desktop, right, we could see okay 12 parts इतना divide कर रहा है, but now phone में कितना divide कर रहा होगा? हाँ, उतना ही divide कर रहा है वो, उतना ही पतला. So जितना the phone का device is going to become, right, the 12 parts is divided. अगर समझो आपने iPad use किया, right, again the 12 parts are divided. When you use a laptop, again the 12 parts are divided. When you use a desktop, which is a large one, which I am using in this case, so again the 12 parts are divided. Okay, so the row is dividing itself in 12 equal parts irrespective of the device. Okay, irrespective of the device. So now you see when I gave call sm8, see, but again when you see this ki, okay, the 8 parts call sm8 to diya hai barabar, तो 4 में क्यों 8 पार्ट नहीं ले रहा है? Because we have given a breakpoint of sm, right? We have given a breakpoint of sm, right, which is minimum width of 576 pixels. Here you see the width is 375 pixels, right? So वो नहीं ले रहा है, okay, because हम लोग ने define किया है call sm8. We have defined it as call sm8, so it would be more than 576 pixels. Are you understanding? I hope you are understanding. Now the best thing that we can do here is, instead of phone, let's see iPad, right? Let's see iPad pay, will it take eight parts of the row that call sm8? Would it work? Let's see. So instead of iPhone 678, I'm going to do it as iPad. You see this? You see this? Can I can't zoom this thing, but I hope you guys can see a little thing here. You see this? When I gave call sm8 for iPad, it is taking, because see, 768 pixels, right? I told you greater than or equals to 576 pixels and less than 768 pixels, right? Less than 768 pixels. So for iPad it works, right? For iPad it works. The 8 part is working, right? So iPad से लेके अभी 576 पिक्सल, राइट? सो iPad से लेके या iPad से कोई छोटा डिवाइस है अगर आपके पास जो फोन से बड़ा हो, राइट? ऐसा अभी मुझे कोई डिवाइस दिमाग में नहीं आ रहा है, बट इफ यू गाइज नो एनी ऑफ दोज सच डिवाइसेस, राइट, in that case also it would work, right? So you have to remember the responsive breakpoints, right, that we are talking about here: greater than or equals to 576 and less than 768 pixels. That is where the call sm comes into picture. Call sm8, right? 8 parts is now taken. So this exact thing we are also seeing for the desktop, right? Why? Because min width कम से कम 576 पिक्सल्स होना चाहिए, उसके बाद से मैं 8 sm ले लेगा, 8 पार्ट्स ले लेगा. So this column is telling the row कि कम से कम 576 पिक्सल्स रखो. 576 पिक्सल्स के बाद तो मैं 8 जगह लेने ही वाला है रो का, राइट? अगर 576 से कम है तो मैं 12 जगह लेगा. Did you understand? Did you understand this thing? Now let's see if what happens when we do this for MD. Okay, for MD. Now for MD also it would happen the same, because if you guys remember, greater than or equals to greater than or equals to 768 pixels, okay, and less than 992 pixels, okay. So here the value of the iPad is 768 into 1024, so greater than or equals to, right? So that is why call MD8 is also working for iPad. So if you guys have any device, okay, jiska width is 767 pixels, let's do that. I think we can do it. I think let's do the responsive thing. Yeah. See this, as soon as the device is 733 pixels, right? 733. It is taking 12 paths. It is taking 12 paths. Why not 8? Because 8 is now starting from MD, right? Are you guys getting my point here? 8 is starting from MD and MD is greater than or equals to 768 pixels, right? So that is why it is taking 12 paths, because if the width is less, right, and we have not defined anything over here, then it would take 12 paths, okay, it would take 12 paths. See, I will also give you this example of SM that we had given before. What was that part, right? It was less greater than or equal to 576. Now you see the responsive that I have over here, it is 733, right? So if I give SM, what do you think? It is greater than or equal to 576, and we have called SM8. Will it take 8 parts? It will. You see this? You see this? The content is now less, right? You see this? If I hover over the row, you see this? The 4 parts are here, right? The 4 parts are here, right? So that is what I'm talking about, right? So now if see this again, a really tricky one. If you guys did not understand this, see this, that you might think कि okay, नीचे तो call MD3 दिया है और ऊपर तो call SM8 दिया है, which equals to 11, right? But ये क्यों ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है? ये क्यों ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है? Even if we have some space, right? वो 3 का तो क्योंकि call SM8 दिया है and we have 4 parts remaining here out of 12, बराबर? 8 is occupied, 4 is remaining, and नीचे I have given call 3, right? But it is not going up. Why? Because see here, I have given MD, right? And MD का क्या है? 768, the break point, right? So if you guys are understanding, ये 768 से वो 3 पे जाएगा, right? Now if I turn this as SM instead of MD, would it work? It should work ideally, because greater than 576, right? Because SM मतलब 768 से कम, बराबर? सॉरी 576 से ज्यादा, एक्चुअली 768 से कम नहीं, but 576 से ज्यादा, but 768 से कम, right? And we have 733 pixels over here, and that is the reason why it is taking this. So when I do this, SM के बदले MD, it would come down. Why? Because this will only work on MD, which is minimum width 768 pixel, which is greater than or equals to 768 pixels and less than 992 pixels. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding my point. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I have just given you some examples here, and similarly if I tell you ki okay, let's instead of SM, let's do it for MD, right? So MD ka kya tha? 768 pixels, right? Greater than or equals to 768 pixels and less than 992, and the responsive device that we are doing here is 733 pixels, right? We are looking at 733 pixels, so it is less, right? It is not greater than or equal to 768, and that is why it is taking 12 parts of it. Okay, now instead of MD, let's see, let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Let's increase it a little bit. See, at 761 it is 12 parts, and thoda thoda मैं बढ़ाता हूँ. I hope, हाँ, 765 again it is 12 parts, but as soon as it hits okay, it is, yeah, I hope, yeah, you see, as soon as it hits 768 pixels, it is taking 8 paths. Okay, it is taking 8 paths. So that is what I mean by MD, right? That is what I mean by MD. That is why I give call MD8. So that is how you make responsive websites also. Now we will be looking into it a little more into detail with the responsive side, but I hope you guys are understanding the breakpoints that we use. Why we use SM, why we use MD, why we use LG, right? So what if now instead of MD, I give LG here? Okay, I'm not going to hit enter. Okay, I've not hit the enter yet, but I have given call LG12, right? Now call LG is minimum width of 992 pixels, right? So that would be greater than or equals to 992 pixels, right? And less than 1200 pixels. Okay, because Excel is 1200 pixels. Okay, so greater than or equals to 992 pixel and less than 1200 pixel. So now I have given your call LG8. How would this, if I hit enter, what would happen, right? If you guessed that it would take 12 parts, you are absolutely right, right? So you see it has taken 12 parts. Here it is taking 3 because I have given MD. If I give LG here also, so see this, it is taking 12 parts. Okay, so this is what I meant by LG. This is what I meant by MD. You had seen it before that I used to give call LG12 or call MD12 or whatever. But now you understand the point here, right? So now it is telling you that call LG8 मतलब 992 pixels जब भी hit करेगा तभी I would take 8 parts. उसके पहले I'm going to take 12 parts. Okay, see this, I'm just going to increase it. I hope I can increase it. I'll just do this. 837 992 करना है अपने को. 985 87 991 94 पे चला गया. But you understood the point. Please trust me, वो 92 992 पे ही ये हो रहा है. I think I can do this. Why am I doing so much मेहनत? You see, on 992 it is taking 8 parts, right? Because I have given LG. When I do it 991, hit enter, 12 parts, because it is less than 992, because it is less than LG, and we have not defined anything which is below LG. Now I hope you guys can try it for 1200 pixels, because we are short of time. It is already 9 and we had wasted like 45-50 minutes in the start. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's say if I tell you कि okay, मेरे को call LG8, right? So on larger device, right? On larger device, I want the width to take 8 parts, but on the phone, I want it to take only 6 parts. Then what you going to do? See this. What I am going to do here is call LG8, मतलब जैसे ही 992 पिक्सेल्स हिट होता है अपना रिस्पॉन्सिव साइट पे, राइट? 992 पिक्सेल्स व्हेन इट हिट्स it would take 8 parts. Okay, but what happens before 992? It is taking 12 parts, but that is by default. Okay, but that is by default. I will tell you कि no, वो 8 parts is okay 992 पे, but मेरे को 992 के पहले ना, I don't want to give this all as 12 parts. What I want to do is I want to give 6 parts. Okay, so 2 on one side, right? Why 2? Because 12 divided by 6 is 2. I hope these things are clear to you guys till now. So I'm just trying to tell you कि before 992 pixels, I don't want to take it by default as 12 parts. I want to give the column 6 parts. So what you will do is you will give call 6 first here. And if you have ever heard about mobile first approach, right? If you have ever heard mobile first approach, this is what I am talking about. This is the mobile first approach. So call 6. You remember, if you give only call, if you give only call, right? From the first thing that we had talked about in grid, if you give only call, it would be less from the 0th pixel, right? Less than 576 if you give only call. So I have given only call. So 576 से लेकर, see the next breakpoint that I have given over there. I have given call LG8, right? So 576 से लेकर, now what is call LG8? When does it hit? 992. So that is what I'm writing here. Call 6 will be hitting your web page when it is from the 0th pixel to 991 pixels. Okay, क्योंकि 992 पे it would take 8 paths, but when I hit enter here, you can see this. See, 991, right? 991. It is taking 6, right? And what if I give here also? See this. Instead of call LG3 here, बराबर अपन वो 3 के बदले 4 कर देते, so that it looks a little equal. Okay, it looks a little equal. 8 and 4, but this is for your laptop, right? 992 pixels, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give call 6, which is 0th pixel से लेके 991 pixel तक फिलहाल के लिए, right? So what I'm going to do here is see this. So now in your phone and in your iPad, okay, till the width is 991 pixel, okay, these two columns would take 6 parts. Okay, these two columns would take 6 parts. Okay, what if I give call 6? Okay, and I have given call LG8 also, but let's say कि मेरे को फोन में 6 पार्ट्स चाहिए, ठीक है, मुझे फोन में 6 पार्ट्स चाहिए, बट मुझे आईपैड में 7 पार्ट्स चाहिए. Okay, so this would be call what call SM7, right? You understood? Call SM7. Why? Because it is less than greater than or equals to 576 pixels, and iPad is 767 pixels if you remember, and less than 768 pixels, right? When we were checking for SM, right? So for SM it would take 7 parts, and over here also what I'm going to do here is call SM5. You see this is 7 parts and this is 5 parts. You can see the difference, right? Why is it 7 and 5? Because we have given it over here, right? So this is what is mobile first approach. So the mobile first approach is we have given call 6. मतलब mobile पे you want 6 का grid, right? For iPad पे you want 7 5 का grid, right? तो थोड़ा बड़ा और इधर थोड़ा छोटा, not exactly equal, right? And for LG or LG का दिया है, I have not given any width for Excel, right? So there is no fourth breakpoint here, right? So from LG, that is from your laptop, right? It would take 8 and 4 parts. So from your laptop till your desktop, it would be 8 and 4 parts, right? But less would be 7 and 5, and even more less for your mobiles. You have given 6. You see, I have given this thing, right? We are checking for 991 pixels, right? So which is less than LG, right? LG is 992. Let's see for less than 576. So let's say 475. Okay, see this, exactly equal, divided. You can understand what is happening here. Call 6. So you see the inspect element also here. See this, it is taking call 6 because it is less than 576 pixels. Okay, let's say 577 pixels. See, it is taking call SM5 because this is call SM5. Okay, if I hover over this, see, it would take call SM7 because it is greater than 576 pixels. I hope you guys are understanding. I hope you guys now understand how these grids look so nice in mobile, and see how these grids look so nice uh, in the desktop, right? They have different, you will see they have different designs for different mobile different devices, right? Your designer would say ki, okay, can you do this ki ye banner na laptop pe you can put it as 8, okay, and 8 and 4, but this banner in your mobile would take all 12 parts, because 8 parts in a mobile would be very small, right? You see the row is dividing itself, but 8 parts in a mobile is very small. So the designer would tell you कि mobile में call 12 ही रखना. So in that case, right, in that case you will not give any 6 here, right? You can give 12, right? Or you cannot give anything, because I told you if you don't give anything, that is by default 12. Okay, so that is how it would look. That is how it would look. And when you give call SM7, which means your designer is telling you ki, okay, in your ipad this banner should take 7 parts and not 8 parts and not 12 parts. Okay, if your designer says ki, okay, mobile or ipad ka same rakhna, but for desktop keep it as call lg, matlab keep it 8 parts. Okay, so what you will do, you will remove this because it is not needed, right? वैसे ही you write call, मतलब it has hit the 0th pixel, right? 0th pixel से ऊपर तक, and the next breakpoint that you have given is called LG, right? So that is 992 pixel. But 992 pixel के अंदर तो तेरा iPad आ ही जाता है because iPad is 767 pixels, right? So that is when you don't have to give any call SM, right? Even if you give call SM12, ठीक है, it wouldn't, I mean कुछ होगा नहीं उससे, because you see this call now I've hit enter, but even if you remove this, yeah, call 12, and even if you write your call SM12, it doesn't matter because it's the same thing. But even if you remove this, okay, even if you remove this, it is the same because 577 pixels and 575 pixels, the 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 grade is the same because 0th pixel se leke the next breakpoint that you have mentioned is LG, right? So it is 992 pixels. Okay, so now if I do this, right, if I do this instead of 575, if I give this, you see it is taking call LG8 here because 992 pixels is hit here, the breakpoint is hit. So you understand my point. This is what grid is. I have still not explained you like every part of it. I hope you guys can read the documentation and still understand it more clearly with my help also, because I have tried everything to make you understand these things. It is really simple if you get the two most important things, which is the row is divided itself into 12 parts, and the second thing is the breakpoints. You should know the breakpoints. Okay, so the mobile lies bit less than 576 pixels. Okay, your ipad lies for 767 pixels. Okay, 768 pixels se upar is MD, but less than 992. Greater than 992 is desktop, but less than 1200 pixels. Okay, so not desktop, laptop. And greater than 1200 pixels is your desktop, which is a larger device. Okay, so 24-inch, 28-inch that you buy a screen, a monitor screen, right? So in that case, it is greater than 1200 pixels. And for that, you will use call Excel. So here, as we have been using call SM5, call LG4, so you will use call Excel. Okay. Let's do one quick exercise. Okay, what I'm going to do here is, this is call LG12 because my code, yeah, my code is this. What I'm going to do here is, let's keep it this way. Okay, this takes call LG12, but let's do this call LG 6. Okay, call LG 6. What will happen? The first two columns would take equal, right? Half of, right? Half of, and we have four remaining columns, right? My VS Code is giving me a lot of problems today. Okay, it has saved. Yeah, I'm just going to do it on your over here only. I don't want it to hang again. Yeah. So what I have done here is call LG6, call LG6. So two columns here, right? Two columns here. We have taken six parts, right? And the remaining, they are being divided. So we have 4. So 12 divided by 4 would be 3. So they are taking 3 parts. Okay. For you guys to still, just to be clear, I'm just going to write 3. It won't make a difference because it is already taking 3. But I'm just going to write because I am also going to write some breakpoints for mobile and iPad. So just in case if you guys can't follow that thing. Okay. So what I have done here is, see this, call LG3, call LG3, call LG3. Okay, 4 call LG3, right? So 3 into 4 is 12, right? And 2, 6, 6. Okay. Now when you see my breakpoint here, it is for call LG. LG means greater than 992 pixels. Greater than or equals to 992 pixels and less than 1200 pixels. Okay. Please be careful with that. Okay. The breakpoint. Now, this is what my designer has told me कि 6 और फिर 4 boxes नीचे आना चाहिए. But now he tells me कि okay, but this is only for your iPad. Sorry, for your laptop. In iPad, everything should come on a different line. Everything should come on a different line. What does that mean is every column would take up the whole part of it, right? Because everything, if you want everything to be on the next line, matlab pura hi jagah le raha hai na, there is no space here, right? So what you will do is for iPad, right? He has given that instruction for iPad. So what I'm going to do here is I will tell call SM12 बराबर, क्योंकि कॉल SM12 मतलब greater than or equals to 576 pixels, right, and less than 768, and our iPad is 767, so this is call SM12, right? So this would be for uh, iPad. So what I'm doing here is I'm just writing every column as call SM12, right? Because the designer has told me the iPad pe everything should come on the next line, right? Call SM12. Okay, that was it. So now, of course, it did not make any difference to the desktop because we have given a breakpoint, right? I hope you guys did understand these things. Okay, these are the basic things that we have talked a lot about it today, but we have given a breakpoint for desktop, so that is why it won't make any difference, right? But we have given call SM12. So let's see what happens to the iPad. Okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to give it iPad. So see this now. Okay, I hope you guys can see it. I'm just going to increase it. So now you see every column is now in the next line, right? So why we did that? Because I have given call SM12, right? So call SM12 means greater than or equals to 768, less than 992, right? And greater than or equals to 992 is MD, right? So now uh, right. So sorry, I just misspoke. I When you say SM, it is greater than or equal to 576 and less than or equal to 768, right? So this is when it is the tablet, and I have just given this key call SM12, barabar. And now see, I have not given any calls for the mobile, right? So the mobile by default would take 12 paths because everything is now in the next line, right? But now what I'm going to do here is instead of call SM12, I'm just going to give call 6. Okay, call 6, call 6, call 6. You see, call 6. So it starts from the 0th pixel and less than 576 pixels, right? So less than or equal to 576 pixels. So now the device width is 414, right? So it is less than 576 pixels. So now it is taking 6 paths, right? When you see the tablet, when you see the iPad, right, it is taking 12 paths, right? And now when you remove this to, when you change this to 992 pixels, it is taking what, it is taking 6 first, right? Because we have given call LG6, call LG6, and then everything is taking call LG3, call LG3, right? So this is how you have changed your layouts for your mobile, for your desktop, and for your tab, right? So here you have covered all the devices, like major devices, right? Because mobile pay, obviously all these mobile devices are the same, right? iPad Pro again takes LG. So when you see for iPad Pro, it would take the same design. See, because it is greater than 992 pixels. iPad Pro is a little bigger one. So you see it is greater than, right, 992 pixels. So that is why it takes the LG breakpoint, right? LG breakpoint. It hits the LG breakpoint, right? That is how it is. It is simple, but only if you know the basics of it. If you know that the row is divided itself into 12 parts, good to go. If you know the breakpoints, good to go again, right? So this is how you write the breakpoints in your, with the help of your class. You can also, so some, like, see, again, when I told you in the start, right, okay, we are talking only in terms of columns, right? So we are talking only in terms of columns here, because SMMD it was the best way to, just incorporate the grid system also with these breakpoints. But same the same breakpoints are also used with the padding, with margin, with other things as well, right? So now I'm going to give you an example. So you see P4, right? So now P4, it is the same as call. You see, because I have not given SM here, or I have not given MD here, right? So P4 also works in the same way. So now P4 is, it is taking from the 0th pixel, because I have not mentioned SMMD LG, right? It is similar for call also, right? So what if pay attention to this column, okay? See, I'm going to hover this, okay? Okay, I'm going to hover this. So this is the column that I'm talking about. Just pay attention to this. I'll just give a border if you want, so that it is a little more, I hope it is a little more this clear, but I'm talking about this column right here. So I have given P4, means it is taking padding of 4, right? Padding of 4. 4 was, I think, 1.5 m, right? So it is taking 1.5 m of it, uh, from the mobile, from 0th device, because there is no SM or MD involved here. But if I give here that MD, okay, or SM, P4 SM4, see this, the padding has gone. See, when I hover over it, the padding has gone. And when you see this, see, it has a padding, right? This is the same way that the call are also being used, right? And when we had seen this, right, ki six parts le lo column ka, but only in mobile, so you don't give any SM or MD or LG values. So this is the same thing, the padding is taken from SM. So from SM matlab 576, yeah, 576 se zyada, right? So let's check for iPad if it takes. iPad Pay, it does take padding. You see this PSM4, right? So when I hover over the padding, it does take padding. What if I give MD? Let's see if I give MD. So it won't take on padding, right? It won't take on padding. Where is it? I think it's MD. Okay. No, not MD, sorry, LG, because 768, right? So greater than or equal to. Yeah, LG, because 768. But when you see this, see, again, it is not taking any padding, because PLG4. But when I remove this, it does take, I mean, I have to reload it, but it does take padding here. Okay, see this. I'll just type in here. Okay, yep, P4, PLG4 won't make any difference. Won't make any difference. But if I give PLG5 over here, will make a difference, because now the padding is a little more, right? Right? So this is when you use LG. So for example, suppose if you don't want to give any margin, right? If you don't want to give any margin, or if you don't want to give any padding in mobile phone, right? So that is when you won't use, I mean, you will give MB hyphen 0, because from 0th pixel it will take MB hyphen 0. And then you will give, suppose if on iPad you want to give some margin, right? So MB hyphen 0 MB SM for example 4, right? So from 576 pixel, right, from 576 pixel, because MB SM4, right, so greater than or equal to 576, so 576 से लेकर if there are any breakpoints, then udhar tak it will take 4. Otherwise, if I have not given the next breakpoint till 1200 pixel, it would take 4, right? And only on mobile, I have given MB hyphen 0, right? So this is the basic idea. This is the same thing that I have been talking about in terms of call also, right? So call hyphen 6 only on mobile, call SM hyphen 6, it would be from 576 to any devices under 992, right? For call MD, it would be from 768 to 992, right? For call LG, it would be greater than 992, greater than or equals to, and less than 1200 pixels. And for call XL, it would be more than 1200 pixels, right? In many cases, we don't use Excel because we basically, if you want to develop something for a laptop, by default, you have something for the desktop as well. But if in case, if a case arises that laptop pe bhi alag and desktop, like larger devices pe bhi alag, so that is when you will use call LG and then you will use call Excel. Okay, but that is the case that I'm talking about. Similarly, for P also padding and margin, that is the same case. Also, when you use a display, right? Let's do that also. If I give your display, you remember from the first session that we had talked about, there were the way we used to write was d hyphen block, d hyphen flex, right? So d hyphen block is display block, right? D hyphen flex is display flex, d hyphen none would be display none. So for example, if your designer tells you that do one thing, these two things, right, the call LG6, call LG6, it should be only visible, okay, it should be only visible for laptop, it shouldn't be visible for the mobile. Okay, so what you will do is it should be only visible for laptop, which means laptop 992 pixels, it should click on your head like, okay, laptop 992 pixels, so 992 pixel means LG, right? So D hyphen LG would be block, because we want it to stay over here. Okay, won't make any difference because it was already staying here. But D hyphen none. Okay, always follow the mobile first approach. So you first write D hyphen none and then you write D hyphen LG block. It's a good way. It's a good practice to write because people follow mobile first approach and not desktop first approach. Okay, but the design that I was talking about here, it would not be visible, right? D hyphen none, no SM, nothing, which means from the 0th pixel. LG मतलब 992 pixels जब भी hit करेगा, the display would be blocked. Okay, let's see if we can uh, justify this thing, right? So this is for mobile. For iPad, let's say, okay, for mobile, you see how many columns it should be there. Instead of 6, it should be 5, right? Because one would be display none. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There is no sixth one because this sixth one is display none, right? And if I untick this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? When I unticked it, that is what it happens, right? So this is exactly one more use case where you are using breakpoints, right? So display none, right? For mobile, I am hiding one of it, right? And on desktop, you will be seeing all of it, right? This is what it is. I will conclude my session today. I hope in I think 1.5 hour that we took, I hope it wasn't very fast that I went. I tried to explain everything. I tried to make you understand the grid part. If in uh, real world case, when the designer gives you, you have to see how it looks, right? If it looks this way, right, 4 parts, so you have to divide 12 divided by 4, which would be 3. So you have to give all the columns as call LG3, right? What if it these four paths would look as 2 2 in mobile? So you will give call 6 and then call LG3, right? You can call 6 zeroth pixel to 992, right? I'm repeating it again and again, but I hope you guys did understand this. Um, that's it from me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bootstrap essential session. Of course, in 2 lectures, it is impossible to cover every part of the documentation, but you guys can do it on your own also through the documentation. It is really very straightforward. The documentation these guys have made is also very clear and concise. Okay, I have tried my level best to make you explain one of the important topics of Bootstrap. If you guys have any questions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, I will clear all your doubts over there. Okay, hope to see you guys soon again. Thank you. Bye.